It even starts with John, and we see that he got out of his car in a difficult and painful state. When he feels like he's saying goodbye to life, meaning he's about to meet his Lord, he watches videos of his mother and sweet memories from his life. We see that he wants to go back down, not to his mother, but we see his mother's last moments, who passed away after a long struggle with illness, after which he took her necklace to keep something from her inheritance. At the funeral, he notices a mysterious person following him, and when he goes to John and offers his condolences, his Uncle John asks him, "What are you doing here?" But he replies to him and says that he is just checking on his old friend. John returns to his house where he receives a letter in the mail that his mother had sent before she died. The letter was a farewell to his Uncle John, and with the letter there was a gift, which was a small puppy. The puppy was meant to keep him company and ease his loneliness. He names the dog Daisy, and she jumps onto the bed the next day while John filled up his car at the gas station. There was a rich Russian young man who told John that his car was beautiful and that he wanted to buy it, but Uncle John refused because his car was his mother's. The young man insulted John in Russian, but John understood Russian very well. Since it's an American movie, the evil is, of course, from Russia. And on that night, Daisy wakes up. So he remembers his Uncle John. He goes down with her to the empty place, but is shocked to find a masked man who knocks him out and Daisy collapses. One of them poisons and kills her, and we find out they're the same men from the gas station. They steal the car and sell it. Uncle John is devastated over Daisy, his late wife's last gift. Meanwhile, on the other side, after the car was stolen, a man named Aurelio takes it. He sees the car and asks, "What happened to it? Where did you get it?" They reply, "That doesn't matter. Just do your job and leave me out of it." By the way, the guy who asked about the car is Yusef Tarasov or something, those Russian names. His father is Vigo, not El Daklawi, and he's a major mafia boss, which is what matters. But the man replies to him and says he's going to leave the workshop. "Leave me alone, boss." He asks him if he killed the owner of the car, and Yusef says no. "I took his dog," so Uncle Aurelio laughs and mocks. "How can you act tough when you got stripped?" Uncle Yusef gets angry, threatens to ruin him, and says he'll tell his father. Uncle Aurelio says his father will understand. Honestly, your father will mess you up too. On the other side, Uncle John finds out about his car being stolen. So not only did they take his dog, but they also stole his car. He goes to Aurelio's workshop and asks him about the car. So Aurelio tells him what happened. And does Uncle John figure out who stole it? Uncle John borrows a car to get by. Then Vigo's father, Abu Yusef, calls Aurelio and asks why he hit his son and what happened. The two girls to inform them, and they tell Uncle John that Uncle John was a king with his left hand and was once the best professional in Russia. And the brother, for your sake, or the family, and that he specifically did this time-dangerous and non-routine things, even at their own house. Get up. He apologized and acted nicely with the one he loves. And here your Uncle Viejo gave him a task that was completely impossible. But he was able to do it. You son of a psst. After everything, you destroy his word and steal his car right after his wife's death? Damn you, Satra Haberd. Can Yusef kill him and stay safe? Damn you again, honestly. And on the other side, Uncle John is digging in his house and pulling out a bunch of weapons and money, you know? Then he gets a call from Uncle Viego. After offering his condolences, he tells him to forget what happened, that it was just an unintentional mistake. Honestly, I'll mess up Naso the Prophet, but Uncle John just hangs up on him. Here, Uncle Viego tells his assistant to form a strong team. We're finishing off Uncle John Wick. When asked how many people he wants, Uncle Viego replies, "How many?" He says, "All of them." They attack Uncle John Wick, who is ready and kills them all. Thank God, and we really see his unbelievable skills, honestly. You get it, he takes them out just like that, and then he calls someone who comes and cleans up the house. Cleans up the mess just like that, no problem. And on the other side, Vigo finds out that he killed all his men just like that. So he puts a big bounty on Abby John Wick, and the bounty is $2 million, just like that, and your Uncle Vigo goes ahead. Marcus, the guy we saw at the funeral, is told that if he kills John Wick, he'll get the reward. I can't even say it. And he starts getting his weapons ready to kill your Uncle John Wick. At that time, John is on his way to the hotel, and let's just say he's coming and he's praying. At that moment, your Uncle John is heading to the hotel. Anyway, this hotel is like a safe haven. It's a place for professional killers, but there's a very important rule. No killing is allowed on its grounds. Your Uncle John meets his old colleague Perkins, a professional killer. What kind of colleague is she? They once did gymnastics together. After Uncle John books a room and prepares, he meets Hotel King Uncle Winston to ask about Yosef. Uncle Vigo knows where John is. As I said, fighting is forbidden at the hotel. Uncle Vigo then says, whoever breaks this rule will have a bounty doubled on his head, just like that. Your Uncle John arms himself after learning Yosef is hiding in the club. John kills Yosef's guards until he confronts Yosef alone, leading to a fight. This is Yosef's opportunity. He decides to trust in God and run away. Uncle John chases after him, killing the guards in his way as if they were nothing, but he gets shot in the side. We envied him, so he heads to the hotel and asks for a doctor. A doctor comes to him, not Winston, and starts stitching up his wound, and takes care of everything. At the same time, we see Marcus going up high with his sniper rifle, aiming at John, and he has a chance to kill him. He sees someone enter and shoots near Uncle John Wick to wake him. Francis wasn't betraying him, but protecting him. Who was the person entering? It's Perkins, John Wick's friend. She tries to kill him and all that, but he manages to hit her even though she takes advantage of his fresh wound and hits him there. Still, he manages to get away from her. The place where Vigo hides all his money is a church near a courthouse. She tells him this in exchange for Uncle John not killing her. Then he takes Perkins to Harry at the hotel for his money and heads to the church. He eliminates anyone in his path, reaches the money safe, and burns all the cash. Meanwhile, Perkins escapes after being tied up at Harry's place and kills him, violating hotel rules. At the same time, Uncle John goes after Vigo's right-hand man and manages to kill him. But it ends with one of Vigo's men hitting John with his car and beating him up. Thankfully, he survives. But when he wakes up, Vigo tells him that all the important recordings and evidence he had against the city officials were in the safe that John just burned. All this happened because of his dog and a car. Can you believe it? John angrily says the dog was the last thing his wife gave him. It was his only source of hope, but his son took it away. Vigo orders his men to ambush and kill John, but Francis, observing, kills one of them. John kills the other one, and Uncle Vigo tells him to cancel the bounty and reveal his son's location. After Vigo complies, John kills all of Yosef's men and Yosef himself. John then returns to the hotel to gather his things, where they arrange a car for him. There was a gift as compensation for what happened with Perkins, when she tried to kill him and to make up for that. Then your Uncle John goes to Francis and thanks him for saving his life. But Perkins sees Francis helping John, not killing him. That night, Uncle Vigo orders Francis's assassination, then tells John he killed Francis and Perkins is next. 4 men then stop her, and your Uncle Winston, the owner of the hotel, tells her, "You killed someone on hotel grounds, and the consequence is that you will be killed." Thankfully, they get rid of her and kill her. After that, your Uncle Winston calls John. He tells him that Vigo is going to escape, so he goes after him. Before Vigo escapes, a fight breaks out between them. John manages to kill Vigo's men one by one. When your Uncle John gets to the last man and kills him, Vigo appears in a car and crashes into John's car. Before the car falls, your Uncle John jumps out. Then, a fight happens between them, and your Uncle Vigo pulls out a knife and stabs your Uncle John with it. But John manages to take it from him and kills Vigo, then gets into a car. We see the opening scene. After falling, he gets up, grabs a stapler, and staples his wound. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Everyone studies medicine for 5 years, but he just staples the wound like it's nothing. And there are lots of dogs in the room. Your Uncle John takes one to ease his loneliness and hugs the dog. When Yusef says, "That's an old car for humans, what's inside?" Your Uncle Vigo replies, "It's not for humans, I swear." He also mentions your Uncle John. Wick was his partner from a long time ago and was the best professional assassin in all of Russia. Baba Yaga is the result, not just Baba. It's Baba Yaga, meaning the boogeyman or a scary monster, like rawr. He says he was very strong. Once he killed several people with just a pencil, no big deal. When Uncle John decided to retire after all the fighting, and he also wanted to live his life with the one he loves, the story picks up after the first part. Then we follow a chase between a guy on a motorcycle and a car, until the car hits the motorcycle. Uncle John Wick gets out of the car, takes a card from the motorcycle rider, and then we go to a place with cars. This guy specialized in illegal things like drugs, and this place belongs to Abram, Vigo's brother, whom John Wick dealt with before. A card named Hamara Juzi Alawal or Bania. So, not just anyone, he's the one holding John Wick's car that his nephew stole and kept with him. And of course, he's not gonna give it back, especially since John Wick just killed his brother and his nephew too. Good morning, right? Uncle John uses the card he took from the motorcycle owner to get in, takes out everyone, calls the guy saying, "You have my car, hangs up, gets his car, and leaves it to God. But Ibram came back with a rejection, and there was a confrontation between them. Until Uncle John managed to get through to Ibram, and they reached a sort of reconciliation, agreeing that neither of them would see the other again. For the second time, they agree. You go your way, and I'll go mine. He retrieves his broken car, goes home, feeds his dog, and sleeps, reminiscing about his late wife. May God have mercy on her. Now, with nothing left to drive him, he can finally live in peace, thank God. The next day, Uncle John calls Aurelio to fix his car. Deciding to calm down, he puts away all his weapons, not planning to use them again. And that day, someone named Santino comes to see him. Pay close attention to this part. Santino wants to become a killer, just like Uncle John. And in the world of gangs they're in, they're ruled by laws, including the law of the medallion. Basically, if someone does you a favor, you must return it. Santino once helped John, so now John must repay the favor by doing whatever Santino asks. But John has changed his ways and is now living right. Don't ask me what that means. But never mind, he refuses. Uncle John tries to return the favor, and before Santino leaves, he compliments John's house. However, Santino later sets the house on fire. John Wick's mother's stuff starts tomorrow dead. You might wonder what that means. I just heard it in a video yesterday. Anyway, Uncle John survives. Thank God he held on after being thrown out after the first hit. Honestly, you were just throwing grenades. And Uncle John gets up, seeing his house, his understanding, his memories, and his wife, all burning in front of his eyes, and he gets up without having slept well at all. He goes to the Continental Hotel to ask the manager about Santino's location. But the manager says the rules require him to return the favor first. That means I can't help you. And once you return the favor, you can settle things between yourselves. If he kills him now, he'll have a bounty on his head and be in great danger. She wants to remove it, and your Uncle John leaves his dog with my guy at the hotel reception. You can't figure this suspicious-looking guy out. He goes to meet him. Santino asks, "What does Angus want from me?" Santino then says Angus wants to kill his sister Gianna. That's because she inherited a key role in the crime syndicate. He believes the position belongs to him after his father. He makes Uncle John pay his debt, then travels to Rome to see Aunt Gianna and handle his father's business. But he prepares himself for the mission, gets a strong suit with a bulletproof lining, gathers his weapons, trims his hair, changes his appearance, and brings his favorite pen, because this pen is very important, and he loves the pen. That's perfectly normal. While your Aunt Gianna is at a party, Uncle John sneaks in through an underground tunnel and finds her. She's surprised he's working again. He says it's due to a talisman and her brother wants to fight her. She then takes her own life and Uncle John fires a shot to make it seem he killed her, and he completed the mission. Of course, she committed suicide. Why? Is there a reason like a banana to commit suicide? Why did she kill herself? Why? As he left, he saw Gianna's guard and thought he had helped John, so he chased them. After escaping through the tunnels, he's chased by 2 guards. People sure are after him. Escaping again, he finds Gianna's guard's car and gets in, and they have a shootout. But while they're fighting, they break some glass. The Continental Hotel, the Rome branch of the Continental. This place is everywhere, so I want to check if they're closed in Egypt. Since they're in the hotel, the rule is no one can attack anyone. So the fight ends, and they sit down. While sitting, he threatens the guard, saying he'll kill him. Strangely, Santino calls your Uncle John, threatening to kill him for murdering his sister. He also puts a $7 million bounty on John Wick's head. Are you sure? Are you sure this man killed his sister? So he went back to the world of crime just to kill his sister. Do you understand? In the end, after killing his sister, he put a bounty on himself for her death. The key is he offers this bounty and notifies all professional killers. So your Uncle John goes out every time he meets someone who wants to kill him, and there are multiple confrontations. Even when your Uncle John gets shot in his side, and when he escapes, he meets the guard at the top, and a chase happens between them, even when they twist themselves in the subway. So he waits for the passengers to get off, and the place becomes empty so they can face each other like a groom and bride together, and the confrontation ends. Thank God, your Uncle John stabs the man with a knife and leaves, and he manages to reach someone named Bori. We find out that they have known each other for a long time, and once there was a fight between them and your uncle, John was stabbed in the neck. John asks for help to find out Santino's location, and your Uncle John is confident about it. You speak to the man confidently, knowing unless Santino accepts the position. In the criminal community, there will be satisfaction in the streets from the small-time criminals who make a living, and someone will call you a criminal and threaten you with a knife. But these things won't exist anymore, man. And your Uncle Boley is one of them. So just go along with things, because I'm going along with things too. Now he wants to get this matter over with so he can be safe, and he respects your Uncle John. He manages to reach Santino's place, and they stand face to face, man to man, you know. But here, your Uncle Santino runs away and doesn't stand like a man. So the confrontation ends up being between John and all of Santino's men. And the fight continues until your Uncle John gets close to Santino. So his personal bodyguard escapes, but I skipped a sentence. Now the confrontation is between John and his bodyguard, but it ends with John winning. Nothing in the movie makes sense. Good morning. But his house is just ridiculous. Santino flees to the Continental Hotel for safety and sits smugly with the manager. John then enters while Santino remains confident. And of course, from before, no one is going to touch him, man. And suddenly, out of nowhere, John kills Santino. Oh my God, what's going on, John? Take it easy, man. If you didn't notice, he just went for it. That means John broke the rules, the hotel's rules, and he'll be stripped of everything, leaving the manager shocked by what he did. He walks out with his dog and heads to his house, which is now just ashes. Along with his memories, everything is gone, nothing remains. The hotel receptionist asks him to follow and takes him to manager Winston, who says he has 1 hour before a bounty is placed on him. Uncle John responds that anyone who crosses him will face serious consequences. He didn't use those exact words, but that's his style. Suddenly, all the criminals' phones ring. Thank God. She receives the message about the bounty on Uncle John Wick's head, so John starts to escape before the hour's up. That's it. The story's over. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next part, where Uncle John is on the run from criminals who want to take him down. Most likely, they're getting training. Or maybe the story continues from after the events of the first and second parts, especially after John Wick escaped, because there's a $14 million bounty on his head. So he goes to a library and takes a certain book that has some valuables hidden inside, which he had stashed away for a time of need. Then this guy shows up and tries to kill him, and a fight breaks out between them. But Uncle John, thankfully, is able to defeat him easily, although he gets injured. So he goes to a certain doctor to stitch up his wound and take care of him. Before he leaves, he shoots the doctor twice in the side so it looks believable. They helped him reluctantly to avoid trouble since he's wanted. There's a $15 million bounty on him. He goes to a gun shop, but 2 people attack him. They're in a gun shop. So what are you waiting for? Of course, they keep stabbing each other until Uncle John Wick kills them. Thankfully, he finishes, leaves, takes a horse, and continues killing those chasing him. Meanwhile, the bounty on his head rises to $1 million. And Uncle John Wick manages to get to where he was supposed to. And before he enters, the receptionist stops him. But he shows her a cross that he took from the book he made earlier. And that's important because it allows him to go in. There's also someone watching Uncle John Wick at that time, but he goes in anyway. He meets the mafia leader and tells her that he has the ticket, which allows him to benefit from her help, just this once. He hasn't used the ticket until now, and he tells her that he wants her to send him to Casablanca. So the woman orders her assistant to burn a cross-shaped mark onto Uncle John Wick's body. She then reports this to the manager of the Continental Hotel and tells him that he let Uncle John Wick go for an hour before sentencing him and didn't kill him. As a result, you have to step down from your position in 7 days. And they're going to bring someone new who understands how to run the hotel instead of you, because you're a man who, isn't quite right for the job. She goes to Wario and tells him that he helped Uncle John, even though he knew that Uncle John wanted to kill Tino, who was in this hotel, He was fired after 7 days and left it to God. John thankfully arrived safely in Darbeta and met Cosma and Sophia. She became the manager of the Continental branch there. There's a Continental branch everywhere in the world. John asks her to take him to the old hotel manager and requests the coin, which is their token. She needs to fulfill his request. On the other side, the lady from the administration goes and tells someone that she assigned her men to the mission of killing John, and anyone, who helps him will be taken out along the way. So she remembers when John entered the theater, there was someone watching him, so she goes to the theater and kills everyone there because they helped John. So, the man who was watching him goes to the theater. She killed everyone for helping John, then stabbed the mafia leader's hand as punishment for helping him, and finally went to Bori. Despite all those bullets, John is only wounded and keeps moving through the streets after wiping his face. John reaches the former hotel manager, and when he asks him about the reason for the meeting, John replies that he wants to meet the big boss, the one in charge of the whole organization, to ask him for forgiveness and mercy. Boss. Barada, the manager, says no one knows where the boss is. But if he wants to reach him, he has to walk in the desert. Following the brightest star in the sky, he must walk until he feels his soul leaving his body. And Saeed tighter. He meets the president, then Barada tells Sophia he met Uncle John as she wanted. Where? So the gift became the reward for all of this. He asks to take her dog, but she refuses, so he shoots at it. Thankfully, the armored dog is unharmed. Barada's actions enrage Sophia, prompting her to draw her own gun. She kills Barada, thank God, and she and John start fighting all his men, killing them one after another like flies. Thank God they finish them off, and Sophia takes John to the desert and leaves him there. You know his fate. He walks until he collapses. A man with a camel finds him and brings him to the boss's tent. When John wakes, he asks for forgiveness, and the boss agrees, on one condition. These people don't care about that, sir, and he wants him to kill Winston. Afterward, he must keep working as a killer without being humiliated. John hesitates, unsure what to do. Thankfully, he finally agrees, though they resent him and formalize it as a contract, expecting him to fulfill the request. Uncle John returns to America, is greeted by this person, and they fight until reaching the hotel, where the fight ends. And John is able to meet Winston, but he doesn't want to kill him. Then the woman from administration enters, because John won't kill Winston, and Winston won't give up his position. Each person makes it clear they're staying put, so she calls the office and makes the hotel a place where killing is allowed, lifting the ban. Now nothing protects them. They're on their own. They go to the weapons storage, John arms himself, and tough professional killers arrive. Thankfully, John manages, since he's basically a superhero, that he and your Uncle Winston are going to kill them, and the person reaches the woman. He orders John to kill him, triggering a battle between John, him, and his men, and they keep fighting each other like that until, of course, John, since he's the hero of the movie, thankfully manages to kill him. At that time, the woman from the administration calls Winston and suggests that they make some kind of deal one last time. He meets her and tells her that he wants to remain the hotel manager, and thankfully, she agrees. And your Uncle John is there, so the woman asks Winston, "What will you do with John?" What did she mean? He invokes God's name, shoots John several times, causing him to fall off the building, then speaks to the woman. Winston regains his position. She checks on John's body, but it's gone. Realizing he's alive, she goes to warn them. Winston informs them John is alive and coming for them. One of Bowery's men brings John to Bowery, and Uncle Bowery tells John he wants to start a war against the whole council. And of course, John agrees, because he understands that since they're already dead, there's nothing to lose. A training montage shows John Wick in Morocco with Zeeming, preparing for combat. Bowery King arrives and asks if he's ready. John tells him that he's ready, and then John Wick appears in the Moroccan desert, riding a horse, and there's a confrontation between him and an adversary. Some people who dress like Arabs, as we do in Morocco, try to escape from John. However, he chases and kills them all, one by one, and ultimately finds himself. He approached the council leader and, seeing John, asked, "You're here? Why? What's the reason?" John said he came to fulfill his vow and gain freedom, but the council leader responded, his vow to the previous council head remains in effect and will only end with his own death. The head then told him that if he came to kill him, believing it would resolve the issue. Then he's wrong, you're wrong, John, and your trip was pointless. John stood up, said everything happens for a reason, and killed the council head. A shocking move from John. That's really intense. Anyway, so the friends, should the scene change now? I wondered why he used such a strange name. The main point is the friends. Here comes Rasul. But I don't understand his message or conditions. Most importantly, he's the father of the center friends. She's asking Sharon to meet Winston, the manager. He meets her and says she has a message from Marx. Vince from the Gramont family and the hotel were condemned for aiding an expelled person. They mentioned our Uncle Julowick, and the messenger gave them an hourglass, saying they had until it emptied. Then he left. When Sharon asked Winston about the message, he said it was a letter signed by the 12 council members. They authorized Marcus, a rival and judge among friends, while Winston asks Sharon to leave the hotel afterward. The two went to meet Marcus, and upon arrival, encountered Marcus's assistant. He took them through the entrance there. I don't really understand the purpose of that entrance, but anyway. As soon as the friends entered and saw the hourglass that set the time limit, Marcus welcomed them at first, and then he asked Winston if he respected the rules or not. What do you mean? Did Winston answer then? He said, "Of course, I respect the rules." He also believed in second chances, saying, "If you give me a second chance, I would be a better person, sir." They said some council members stayed in New York, and some denied what was happening because of John Wick. Winston told them he killed and shot John Wick, but the Marquis said John Wick is still alive and dying. Anyone who stands in his way. Karen joined the conversation, asked the Marquis for permission, received it, and began explaining. He started to explain that the existence of the Continental is very important, to remind them of the importance of the rules. At that moment, he continued by saying that the John Wick issue had nothing to do with them. But the Marquis got angry, interrupted him, and addressed Winston, telling him that what John is doing now is a reflection of Winston's failure to solve the problem. The hourglass is a symbol of the Marquis's patience with Winston, and moments passed as all the sand in the hourglass fell. And with the last grain of sand, the Marquis detonated the Continental itself. At that moment, the Marquis spoke about Winston. He lost all his powers and had nothing left to offer Karen. Then he pulled out a gun and killed Karen. What did I do, Yalin? If this service is pointless, should I just go home? Why would you kill me? Then suddenly at that moment, the best friend Winston swore by God that this happened and knelt down to check on Karen, who was already dead. He told him that it was an honor to work with him, and then the Marquis left the office after that. His assistant said he wants to meet Ken, a blind killer and best friend. How is that possible? The best friend? He was once a council agent who enjoyed listening to his daughter play music in the garden, until someone brought him to the Marquis, who immediately made him an offer. He offered him a new life in exchange for a service he would provide to the council. But he was going to refuse and told him at that moment that he was retired. That's it, Abu al-Sahab, I forgot. The Marquis threatens his daughter, saying he knows her location and gives him a choice: help them or lose his daughter. Abu al-Sahab agrees to help. He took the card that was given to him, and it was written in Braille, the way blind people read, and he started counting the letters. Before he finished, he realized the person was John Wick. The Marquis then told him he knew John was his friend. Kane replied it was a long time ago before he retired. The Marquis asked if he knew where he was. Kane said John doesn't trust many people. Kane then agreed to the mission, saying he had always been loyal to the council. What's wrong with you, Red? Is Kane changing sides with you? Is the scene at the Osaka hotel? Well, Kira was talking to her father, Koji, telling him about his appointments and reminding him of the promise between them. But he remembered, and he sensed that she was worried. So he asked her, "What's wrong, my daughter? What's going on? What is it?" She says they isolated Hanston and blew up his hotel, and she's worried they could be next. When he asks why she's scared, she explains they helped John Wick despite his excommunication, and the council won't forget it. Koji says John has been his friend for a long time, and he can't leave him when he needs help. Akira gets upset and leaves, and Koji continues on his way, watching his men until he reaches the hotel lobby and asks the guards to wait outside. There, John Wick is waiting for him, and as soon as he sees him, he tells him that killing the head of the council was a mistake, and the council's response was to destroy the entire Continental hotel. John asks about Winston. Koji says he's fine, but Karen was killed as a lesson. Koji then asks John how long this will go on. How long will you keep doing this? Are you dragging my mother in too? I know the council won't stay silent, John. Unable to respond, he apologized to Koji, saying, "Sorry if anything happens to you because of me." Koji replied they're friends and must help each other. John continues by saying that he'll end all of this by killing all the council members. Koji responds that no one can kill everyone. Hey John, you could be John Wicca, but not that extreme, right? Or maybe he is that intense, Koji, at that moment. The council's envoy arrived with guards who spread through the hotel. They asked Akira to meet the manager, who told them to wait until he called them, and at that moment Akira runs. She interrupts her father talking to John, warning him that council guards are everywhere. Her father tells her to stay with John. He says he'll handle it, then moves and tells his men to be ready for anything. Koji meets the council's representative and asks how he can help. The representative says they must search the hotel to ensure they aren't serving John the excommunicated. Koji agrees, but requests their weapons first, because killing is forbidden in this hotel. Just like any other assassin hotel. Killing must be forbidden in any assassin hotel. If it's a hotel for killing, you shouldn't even ask me. But the representative's boss refuses, saying they're here for the high table and warns him he'll end up like Winston if he interferes. Koji insists on his request until Kane appears. Koji is relieved to see him alive and asks about his daughter, Maya. Kane assures him she's fine. Koji then warns Kane not to get in his way. What council? Shadi, now angry, says the hotel lost its privileges and orders the guards to search. Koji summons his soldiers, armed with bows and swords. I don't see how he and his friends can take them on here, but oh well. Now, surrounded by the organization's guards, a battle began with no victor. Koji and the delegate faced off, guns drawn, as Koji recalled confronting the delegate before. But then a huge number of council guards come in and Koji and his group withdraw at that point. Akira learns of the hotel attack, prepares, and tells John they must defend it. John, as if expecting this, asks, "Do you know what it's like to die in Atlas?" He then draws his weapon and attacks the council guards relentlessly. Even though John hadn't been in a fight for a while, he hadn't lost his skills at all. Here he moves stealthily and takes out the guards around him everywhere. And Akira, at that moment, honestly, she's incredibly tough in combat. She's really impressive, no joke. No, she's not hiding behind anyone or anything. I don't even know who hides well. Was it Soba? Anyway, she's impressive. On the other side, Koji was stopping the guards and moving closer to Akira. Koji's guards, honestly, were able to block the council guards' attacks with ease. Afterward, the impressive one noticed Ken sitting aside, apparently eating, so he tells him to go do his job, the one they talked about. Then Ken gets up and attacks the two people he finds in front of him. When he gets close to them, he manages to defeat them, and then someone else appears in front of him. 3 people, 2 years. He hears the knife, quickly ducks and hides. It's unclear if he saw them. After hiding, his friends appear and start shooting. He sticks alarm devices to the wall as he moves. Then he chooses a spot, draws his weapon, waits, and activates the alarm when Koji's guards approach. Sound. Ken quickly figures out their positions. He's sharp. He shoots at them, then gets up to fight hand to hand. Even blind, he destroys them. Afterward, the group moved on. Akira was injured fighting a huge man, just as Koji and Ji arrived to help his daughter. Koji urged John to escape, but when John refused, Koji told him to help by taking out as many soldiers as he could while leaving, of course, and the group didn't waste any time and kept moving forward, taking down anyone who got in their way. At that point, nothing else mattered to them. Whether they were wearing armor or not, it didn't matter. He would take them down and break their necks anyway. When Uncle John ran out of bullets, he used the nunchaku to hit everyone in front of him. Afterward, when he finished, with the last one down, John collapsed from exhaustion but got up again, God bless him. You sense his friends helped him escape, but as he left, Ken caught up to him with his gun, and John realized he was there to kill him. Ken didn't give him any chance and started shooting at him. So John ran away from Ken, grabbed the nunchaku and the gun, and told Ken he was going to kill him. Then he went out again and started attacking Ken, knocking him to the ground. But Ken, the ultimate friend, got up and was blocking John's strikes at the same time. When they fired their guns, both of them would move away and check their weapons. Both of them were tough, and they ran out of all their ammo. That's when Ken came out with a sword. He searched for John, found a corpse with a weapon, took it, and attacked John, but John dodged. Ken approaches and tries to kill him with the sword after knocking him down. The tracker appears and shoots at Ken, letting John escape. Outside, John encounters the tracker, who speaks to him that the price on his head is increasing, but he's not going to kill him now. He tells him to wait until the price goes up a bit more, and then he'll kill him. Then John leaves him and walks away, and at that time, with his friends. At the hotel, Koji tried to stop his daughter's bleeding, but Ken confronted him, asking where John was and promising to let him go afterward. Koji sat down and his daughter saw he was hurt, but he reassured her. She began helping him as he held his sword. Ken stood before him, refusing to share any information about John. They didn't give each other a chance, and a sword fight started. Even so, by God's will, the guy Ken didn't realize he could hurt Koji. As friends, Ken tried to leave, but Koji insisted on fighting until Ken killed him. In general, but Nancy feels this is a lesson for herself in anything in general. And if I wasn't in general, what would you have done to us? Anyway, with her friends, Akira moves after that to see her father, whom she finds has already died. At that moment, she was about to take the sword to avenge him, but Ken warned her and asked her to leave the place, and she actually left. And she left Ken, who was deeply affected because he killed his friend. After that, John Wick arrives at the metro, and after he gets on the metro, he meets Akira, who blames him for her father's death and asks him to take revenge on Ken. John reassures her. At the same time, in New York, Winston was standing in front of the Continental, which was basically a complete surprise. Then Bowery King arrives at the meeting they had agreed on. Bowery asks if he can help him, so Winston asks to see John, but Bowery warns him, because last time he shot at him and almost killed him. So basically, last time you almost killed the man, and if you see him now, he might shoot you in the leg. But Winston, the loyal friend, insisted on his request, saying he had to make John understand what he was getting into. After that, Winston, the loyal friend, continued. He visited Sharon's grave waiting for John, who arrived on time and offered condolences to Winston for Sharon's death. He pulls out a marker, and Winston asks, "Whose is this?" He replies it belongs to Marquis de Gramont, who leads the council. Now, since he's the only one who offered guarantees for John's survival, John asked him about the punishment. Winston told him he would find it in Paris, and John set off. Winston stopped him, realizing he planned to destroy the center, and told John to do it smartly. John then asked, "What exactly do you mean?" Winston suggested he challenge them to a one-on-one duel for his freedom. John said only Ruska, Roma, and his close friends could arrange that due to their history. Winston decided to try convincing them to let him represent them in the duel, so he left. John traveled to Berlin to see his family. At their headquarters, he asked the priest to meet Uncle Petra. The priest pulled a rifle and shot at John without injuring him. John and his friends were knocked out and dragged outside. The tracker knew John's location and called the center to inform them, asking for money in exchange for the information. But the center told him they would kill John, and then he would get his money with interest as well. At that moment, John regained consciousness. He found himself tied up with a rope around his neck, and at that moment, Katyuk entered. She asked John why he came. He said he needed help, but she refused. She told him he caused the center to kill her father and send her there. She signaled the guards to tighten the rope further. John then told her this was their chance to take revenge on their common enemy. Both of them, and to submit the request on his behalf. At that moment, Ali Ketyuk responds that he has to kill someone in exchange for joining the family again, and John is there at that moment. And he asks her, who is this person? So he tells him that her name is Kayla and that Klaus will take him there, and John arrives at Kayla's place. Klaus hands Kayla the letter he has, and as soon as she reads it, she laughs. He told John his family is handing him over to avoid trouble. As they talk, Ken arrives and says he's waited a long time for John. After that, the guard comes in with them, and the tracker has a weapon. When Kayla asks why he's there, he says it's to kill John, and Kayla gets excited. Each wants to kill the other, so one suggests playing cards, with the loser dying. They stand and Kayla deals. Everyone reveals their cards, and Kayla laughs, showing 5 of a kind. John doesn't wait for them to fight. He attacks Kayla, hitting his neck. Kayla escapes, and the trackers shoot at Keela's guard. John chases Kayla everywhere, shooting at him until he catches up. This could slow John down. It wasn't easy. He blocked John's attacks, then attacked and knocked John down, dragging him by his clothes. And when John stood up, Kayla kicked him and he fell to the floor below. And at that moment, John was barely conscious, and he got up while he was exhausted. He defeated all of Keela's assistants before Kayla confronted him. And Kayla keeps hitting John, pins him against the wall. You can't really tell, but he pins him against the wall and tries to choke him. But John manages to get away from him, starts hitting him, knocks him to the ground, and keeps beating him while he's unconscious. It's brutal and really tough. If you weren't conscious, but if you were, what would you have done? Abu al-Sahab stops Keela's guards from attacking John, allowing Kayla to leave while he finishes them off. Kayla tried to escape, but John spotted him and gave chase. Kayla paused at the stairs and told John he'd kill him someday, but John still wouldn't leave and kicked him immediately. Kayla fell down the stairs and died. And then John took that tooth from Keela's mouth as proof of his death at that time. The tracker aimed to kill John, but was stopped by someone insisting only he could kill John at that moment, as soon as she saw the tooth. They performed the ritual for John's return to the Ruska Roma family. Once it was done, the family sent Winston safely to Paris. There, Winston told the center that John was challenging him to a duel with the family's support. He also presented John's rejoining documents from the family. The center then asked what conditions John requested. Winston stated that John requested the Victoria conditions, which allow for a full pardon and grant him freedom if he wins, and Winston added to them at that time. If John wins, he regains his position, hotel ownership, and restoration expenses. The council will be responsible for fulfilling these terms, and the Marquis will set a meeting to negotiate with John. Winston thanks him and leaves, but before he goes, the Marquis warns him that this will be his end if John wins. After that, John arrives at the negotiation location. Harbinger reveals the seal to mark his return to the family. John gets ready to negotiate with the Marquis, and Harbinger asks to set a time. The Marquis replies, the terms of the sun will be the time. John picked the sacred Sacré-Cœur as the location, and chose 2 simple pistols as weapons. The duel rules said they'd stand 30 steps apart and shoot. If both survived, they'd move 10 steps closer and repeat until only one was left alive. Harbinger requests nominations, so the Marquis nominates Kane as his replacement. John finds someone and reminds them, Harbinger's terms are a full pardon, Continental reinstatement, and anyone late is withdrawn and executed immediately. At that moment, John got up to leave and began preparing, but Kane refused to represent the Marquis, saying he had to voice his own opposition. The Marquis then promised Kane freedom for him and his daughter if he helped. With no choice since they were friends, Kane agreed. John and Kane met, discussed how killing had cursed them, and John at that moment, he told Kane his daughter gave him a reason to live and said he'd tried more than once to leave this life, but every time, he was forced to come back again. John told him this would be the last time. After that, he left him and John went to the address Winston gave him. When Winston arrived at the address, he handed the paper to the doorman, who opened the gate. John went down to the subway station and waited for the train. When it arrived, Bori, Kane, John, and Winston got off together, and Bori handed him a new suit and a gun for him to use so he could get to the place before sunrise. While John was getting ready, his $26 million bounty was still active. If only I had known about it. I'd take out John and Ken myself. It's about who you associate with. The direct communication plan is active, and they're tracking John to prevent him from reaching the duel site. They want to keep him away, focusing on his associates. John asks Bori to take him to the nearest place, so Bori brings them to his place, and they travel by boat through underground tunnels. When John arrives, he asks Winston to write on his grave, "When John dies, loving husband, did Baba Yaga visit you?" John just pictured John Wick, who changed everything with John loving husband on his tombstone. Man, just write, You went ahead and we will follow in Korean instead of dying a non-believer. Then, the guys head to the street. As they leave, the broadcast announces John's location in the 6th district. John takes 2 steps and is surrounded, so he crosses the street, but the killers attack him. John easily defeats them, but then a car hits him. The driver, also a killer, tries to attack John, but John manages to escape. After John gets out, another car hits him, so they beat up the driver. John then gets in another car, chases Chidi, and heads to the Arc de Triomphe, and there he finds himself surrounded from every direction, literally. But John didn't give up then. He kept driving the car and shooting at them until his car flipped over. Then John gets out of the car. He finds 3 waiting and shooting at him. But he uses the car door as a shield and keeps firing back. He keeps killing them until John moves, then finds Shitty hitting him with his car. You got hit by 3 cars and nothing happened? What's going on with you? Man, are you not dying or what? Anyway, after that, his friend comes down and starts shooting at him, and a fight breaks out between them. They're both in the middle of the street, and they're both shooting at each other. And in the middle of all this, other people come trying to kill John, but he ends up killing them instead. A tracker named Akal arrives and calls the center to negotiate a higher price. But they hang up on him. He thought he had it under control. John was meant to die, but with his friend's help, he was completely safe. One friend's father tried to kill him, but the tracker killed that man instead, and he starts shooting at John again. But John, the friend's leader, moves toward him and pushes Shitty's car, who also got out of it. He was about to shoot at John, but the tracker released his dog to bite Shitty. John seized the moment, took the motorcycle with calf kick, and left. The friend's leader saw the car blocking all roads, so he crashed the motorcycle into it and entered a deserted house, followed by Shitty and others who heard on the radio. As usual, John survives and kills everyone, including the tracker and friend's leader. He was helping John and called the center to demand $35 million, then ended the call. The news was reaching the center that John managed to stand alone against the whole world.
All of it?
The mission depends on friends, like I told you. Does the center know that John can stand alone against all that? He contacts the tracker, who demands $40 million the center's forced to accept, and then everyone is notified. The bounty has reached $40 million. $40 million? If only that was in Egyptian pounds. $40 million. The mission depends on friends, like I told you. Now you know John Wick's friends are worth $40 million, and that's when everyone was notified. They grow more aggressive with John until he arrives, leading to a face-to-face confrontation and a fight. John lands a hit, but then Shia appears. At that moment, the dog grabs someone, so Shia hits him and aims his gun to kill the dog, but John remembers his own dog, which is...
It's all because of the dog. That damn dog caused everything we're facing.
We're in this.
May God ruin his mother's house. That was a dog. How much did you pay for it? Only God knows.
Man, for John, for the big ladder that will take him to the dueling place. And he starts to climb the ladder, but he finds the ladder full of people who want to kill him and won't stop. And John's friends who were killing them one after another and throwing them down the ladder. He's determined to reach the top, so no one stops him until he gets there and finds Sada Chidi, who kicks him. John falls to the bottom and has to start over, even though he was almost there. Just a few moments. The sun is less than 5 minutes away. John Abu al-Sahab found Kane underneath, reaching out his hand to help him up, and told him that he needed to get to the dueling spot and that he would help him with that. Kane helps him up and they go up the ladder together. He asks about the number of people, and John says there are 9. Then, they begin doing what they do best. They said they would kill most of those present quickly. Except for Abu al-Sahab, Shadi Fidel was alive. Abu al-Sahab attacked John and nearly killed him, but the successor hit Shadi, saving John, though Shadi survived. In this series, only Shadi and John don't die. Later, Kane tried to finish Shadi, but Shadi overpowered him and tried to choke Kane. John then hit Shadi and escaped. And here, Abu al-Sahab brought down the successor and ordered his dog to take care of Shadi, while Abu al-Sahab made sure Kane arrived at the place at the right time, and before sunrise, they stopped. After that, the two of them prepared their weapons and fired the first shot from 30 steps away, but both of them survived and were only lightly injured. Then, he told them to move 10 steps closer, then both prepared and fired again. This time, both were injured but survived. Then, he had them move even closer, leaving just 10 steps between them. Kane fired the shot, but John, hindered by his injury, couldn't shoot. Winston was shocked and thought it was over for him, and on the other side, he loved the center. He wanted to shoot and kill John, insisting on his death. He took Kane's gun and moved toward John, but then noticed Winston laughing. He admitted he was stupid and hasty since John hadn't fired the third shot yet. But then, John shot the center and killed him. The Harbinger announced John's victory, cleared him of charges, declared Kane and his daughter free, and said the council would pay to repair the Continental Hotel. Then Kane went to thank John, because if it weren't for him, he and his daughter wouldn't have gained their freedom. After that, John gets up and goes down the stairs, but he finds himself completely exhausted and unable to go on. As he collapses, John recalls moments with his wife Helen and calls out to Winston to take him home with Karen. The scene shifts to Bori and Winston at John Wick's grave, which reads, "John, loving husband." John is finally reunited with Helen, and with that, the legend of Baba Yaga or John Wick comes to an end.
And that's it, folks.